Alright, good evening, people. Hello, please give me a shout out in chat if you can hear me okay. Thanks for being here. We are here live every Sunday to look at army lists submitted by the community. Who's in tonight? We've got Daniel, we've got Adrian, we've got Albino, Mike, Camille, Tarzan, Steve T, Adam, Michael, Andy. A lot of people here tonight. Good evening. Greetings, Silent Phoenix. How you guys doing? Hope you're all well. And I think I'm going to be playing World Eaters on the channel tomorrow night, so that'll be 7:30 normal time. Brett has promised to send me a list since 11 a.m. this morning. Brett is not organised, so I assume I'll get a list so I know what we're going up against sooner rather than later. It doesn't really matter. I'm not changing my list from last week. I liked Rights of War on the Sangre Ancient. I think it's a cool combo. And I did not realize last week that the Sangre Ancient can actually use Unbridled Ardor. So he can actually heroically intervene 6 inches for 1 CP. I assumed that stratagem would require core, because obviously they made a lot of other stratagems core, but apparently that one does not require core. So that's good to know. Good evening, Toasty. Good evening, Daga. Good evening, Steve. Tonight's lists. Was I going to do Tempest of War cards at some point? I don't know. I mean, I could do Tempest of War cards. I know that Kev and Andrew have both bought a set, so I could easily borrow a set and look at them. I guess, because I don't have all that much time and I've got a tournament coming up in like 3 or 4 weeks, I really want to do well in this tournament. I feel like I did pretty well in the last tournament I was at, where went 4-1. I would really like to do better this time. No 30 Sangre Guard tomorrow. No, I don't like running all the same units, right? I just don't like it. I think it makes you one dimensional. Kieran says Tempest is so good, just meet in the middle against the Berserkers. I generally try and avoid the Berserkers, right? They just kill everything they end up in combat in. Yeah, so today's lists. We're looking... Oh, wrong folder. Today's lists are submitted by... Lists. Sorry, I'm still getting used to Windows 11. Not everything is where I remember it to be. It's Michael Huff, Sam Milber, and Steve West. And we are prioritizing members lists. We've had so many lists have been sent over since Armor of Contempt came out. I don't want to have to make the channel members wait ages. So I think 1 or 2 more weeks we'll finally clear up all the members lists, and then we can go back to reviewing people who are non-members as well. That's just the way it's been working. Okay, so the first list today is going to be by JW. And this is his first 2K list in the Army show submission. Thank you for reviewing it. I feel like I get to 1700 points and then not sure what else to throw in. In this case, the latest editions of the Redemptor and the Shooting Terminator. So recommendations welcome. Okay, and it's 10 CP start and it's a battalion. I like starting with a lot of CP. It's one of the reasons that I run Mephiston over like another Psyker, just because you can kind of run him for no CP, I guess. But yeah, starting with a lot of CP is nice. We have a Relic of the Chapter, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. For HQ, we have a Captain with Hammer of Baal, an Infernal Pistol, and a Jump Pack. I used to always run these Jump Captains, but not so much now. So Hammer of Baal, so it's hitting on 2s. Infernal Pistol is good. No, I guess essentially like a Smash Captain of old is this one. I don't think I submitted a list this week. Steve, I have a list on the list here from you from the 19th. Is that not right? The list you submitted was a battalion 9CP 1990, and it starts with company veterans. If you don't have a list, I'll just bump someone else forward. So I appreciate it if you would let me know. We then have a librarian who has Might of Heroes, Null Zone, and Psychic Fortress, which means he is a chief librarian, and he is the warlord. Does he have Psychic Mastery? Mighty Heroes, Null Zone, Psychic Fortress, chief librarian, 4-sword, Infernal Pistol, Jump Pack, and he's the warlord. Alright, so you haven't... Either your battle scribe or whatever... Because he's the warlord, he essentially gets a Warlord trait, which I think you should probably pick as Psychic Mastery. I mean, the idea behind this Psyker is to make Null Zone and Mighty Heroes more viable, I think. I'm not so sure about Psychic Fortress with the change of Armor and Contempt. If there's a Terrax, that's from last week. Okay, Steve. I did check before we started the stream today. Oh, maybe. Alright, I'm confused. Oh, I'm really confused. Hold on, have I opened the wrong folder here? Why have I got JW's list? What's happened here? Oh, JW's on next week. I have opened the wrong folder. Do you know what then? JW will come into this week, Steve, and thank you so much for keeping me updated. So you don't need this list you sent me. You definitely sent me two. I guess there was two YouTube comments, Steve, and maybe you sent me a second one and I got confused. Okay, so let's continue with JW. Good evening, Rezio. Good evening, Tarzan. Oh, I already said hello to you. But all right, so the librarian should for sure, I think, either take. I think you always want to take Psychic Mastery. You could take Iron Resolve, but I think you do always want Psychic Mastery. I think you want to try and make Null Zone more reliable. Especially if he's your Warlord, right? Then we have the Sangre Priest, who has been upgraded to the Chief Apothecary with Icon of the Angel, and he's also the Selfless Healer. Okay. I mean, that seems fine. We usually, it seems to me at the moment, we have like Captains, Librarians, Sangre Priest, and Sangre Ancient. They're the characters that are getting picked all the time. They are the best ones, I would argue. I guess the Primaris Chaplain on the bike also makes an appearance quite often because he's just so darn tanky. But I guess those are the 5 characters, give or take, that we seem to see in every list. Good evening, Trycheck. Well, thanks for letting me know, Steve. Manuel says, "Hey all, I'm ready to see some lists, gin and tonic and some snacks. Gotta live a little." Nice. I have not been drinking as much. Andrew and Colin were making fun of me for not drinking as much, but it's the summer and COVID, I feel, is finally over, maybe, so maybe I'll get back into drinking a little bit more. Alright. Troops. 1 Assault Intercessor Squad, 2 Incursor Squads. This is like staple in like 90% of lists are just running this exact pairing. I don't know if people are copying me or if people just feel exactly the same as me, that 2 squads of Incursors are brilliant and then a squad of Assault Intercessors are decent, and that keeps the points reasonably low. I think a lot of people are sleeping on Hellblasters and Assault Centurions. I've ran Assault Centurions, Kieran. I feel they only work if you've got a priest. Because I think if you've got a priest and you can res them a couple of times, they're brilliant. But no core kind of sucks. 5-inch move kind of sucks. And then 55 points a model kind of sucks. So Centurions are fine, I think. I just don't know if they're that brilliant. I mean, I guess they got better with Armor of Contempt. Maybe I could try and... I keep thinking about trying to fit them into the list, but I just don't know how. I think the only way I could fit in Centurions probably is if I drop my battalion, and I like my battalion. You think a lot of people have thought that this troops is a rounded selection. Okay, great. Blade Guard, 5-man Blade Guard, 175 points. Redemptor Dreadnought, Stormbolters, Rocket Pods, Macra, and Onslaught, 195 points. I like Redemptors, I just think they're overcosted now. I think they were expensive, it's 180, but I mean, here's the thing, I've been saying I thought Sangre Guard were fine at 30 points. They've stayed 32 for like a year. So I guess me saying that I feel like they're overcosted actually means nothing. Games Workshop obviously don't agree that Sangre Guard are overcosted at 32 points per model. I guess they probably don't agree Redemptors are overcosted at 195 points per model. I just think with the Redemptor, no invulnerable save, the main cannon, which is your main source of damage, is basically D6 shots. So it's swingy. No invulnerable save sucks, and then 195 points. I mean, you know, like when we've been looking at the Knights Codex, right? And like they can run an Armiger that's like 155 points. Yes, it isn't -1 damage, but it moves so much more. It's got counts as 5 models on objectives. It has obsec. If an Armiger counts as 5 models on an objective, how does a Dreadnought not count as 5 models? Because I mean, it's bigger. I don't get that. Redemptors are certainly overcosted compared to Knights. Yeah, I mean, Redemptors got put up in points because of Black Templars, but it doesn't work. I guess, like, yeah, Black Templars made them go up in points because they can just run 3 of them and they're super durable. Yeah. I don't know. Redemptors at 195 points. I really struggle to feel that's good value now. I think I'd probably lean towards a Leviathan because the Grav Cannon, like, it's only 25 more points now, and the Grav Cannon has 2d3, which is a lot more reliable than d6. And the drill can do more damage, and it's got more wounds, and it's got an invulnerable save, and it's got a 2-up normal armor save. Like, it feels like the Leviathan gets quite a lot of stuff against the Redemptor for only 25 points now. Sure, it uses core, and yeah, you're right. Armigers can get -1 damage very easy. Armigers can also get a feel no pain, I believe, and they can get transhuman, and they can get transhuman against being hit as well. There's loads you can do with Armigers. It's kind of ridiculous. We then have a 5-man squad of Sanguinary Guard. 1 Infernal Pistol, mix of axes and swords. 5-man for me in Sanguinary Guard kind of feels small. I mean, maybe I need to try more 5-man squads of Sanguinary Guard, but I typically find bigger squads are better. Stop, Jimmy. Good evening. Make Leviathans meta again. I mean, Leviathans have never been bad. Again, they're another unit that's benefited a lot from Armor of Contempt, I guess. If you think about, like, the things that used to kill Leviathans, like Drukhari Raiders with their Dark Lances, I'm going to have to check this because before I say it and I'm wrong. Is it Blasters that are -3 and Dark Lances are -4? 1 second. If that's my daughter up, I might need to run AFK just 2 seconds. Or she's just coughing in her sleep. Dark Lances are -4. So it's the Blasters, like, on the Trueborn. Yeah, I'm going to have to run AFK. I'll be right back. So I guess Dark Lances into Leviathans are still going to be saving on 5s because you only get to ignore 1 AP and you're saving on 3s, but, like, typically they always run like Trueborn, right? I actually don't know the name of the squad. Is it Calibite? Trueborns? And they run Blasters. I thought Blasters were -3. Oh, okay, so they're -4 as well. Yeah, so I guess Leviathans aren't that much better into Drukhari. Bad example. Really bad example. But I guess anything that's less than -4. So if you're getting hit by -3 stuff on a Leviathan now, you're saving on a 4-up. Which is pretty decent, I think. On a Dreadnought that's got 14 wounds and -1 damage, right? Kieran says, "Gotta love a 5-man death company with hammers or fists on a turn 1 charge in your enemy deployment zone." I mean, that's certainly good. I don't typically run the death company, but some people really like them, right? We've got the Terminator Assault Squad, and this is 1 Thunderhammer and the rest Lightning Claws. We've got a shooting squad of Terminators, Chain Fist, Heavy Flamer, couple of Power Fists, and the Sergeant. I think the Sergeant by default carries a Stormbolter and a Power Sword. I think you should just go all in on Chain Fists here. I don't think the Power Fists have any real advantage. The Chain Fists are going to average 2 damage anyway, because it's D3 damage, so most of the times they're going to do 2 damage. They're going to be better against -1 damage enemies. And then I guess vehicles, they just do flat 3, so I don't really see any advantage on taking Power Fists over Chain Fists. They're the same points costs. If you've got the models, I would just go all Chain Fists on the Terminators. We got a squad of Vanguard veterans, bunch of Storm Shields, couple of guys with double claws, and 1 Thunderhammer in the squad, which is fine. Eliminators with the snipers, and then the Whirlwind with the Castellan launcher. The Eliminators with the snipers are the one choice that I don't know. I generally really dislike the sniper rifles. I feel like 1 squad of Eliminators isn't enough firepower to kill characters. I mean, you could probably just do some very quick math on, like, let's say you were just shooting at like a Space Marine captain, like toughness 4, 4-up save, sort of 5 wounds, right? Like, bolt sniper rifles on those Eliminators. They're heavy support, aren't they? Eliminators. So if they don't move, they're on ballistic skill 2, right? So you get 3 guys. So 3 guys with ballistic skill 2 means you hit 0.8833 repeating, of course. Your strength 5 against toughness 4, so times 0.6666. So remember this, 1.66. Because 6s do mortal wounds, right? So let's just, we can actually calculate how much mortal wounds we should get on average. So on average, when, let's say your Eliminators shoot against a Space Marine captain, they do 0.27 mortal wounds, and then the captain obviously saves on 4s, so he saves one of these, and then they're 2 damage a time, right? The mortis rounds, so times 2 plus this. So copy this. So like a squad of Eliminators. Can I copy this? Select all. Copy. Plus, how do we paste? Paste. Yeah, so a squad of Eliminators on average against like a toughness 4 character with 4 wounds will do 2 damage per turn. To me, that doesn't feel like all that great, right? Because like they might have a feel no pain, they might have a medic around that can heal for 3. So 1 squad of Eliminators on their own is kind of lackluster. I think if you want to run 1 squad of Eliminators on your own, then run them with the Instigator Bolt Carbine and take the last Fusils on the other 2 guys and just like pop shot enemy armor with strength 8 -3 damage, or pop shot large scary targets. Like, you're not going to do a whole heap of work with 1 squad of Eliminators, and Rezio in the chat basically says the same thing. So, I mean, I guess the Eliminators can hold an objective, and yeah, I just think you're better off taking a couple of last Fusils. Keep them in cover, they save on a 1-up. Or they've got a 1+ save, ignoring AP -1, essentially making them kind of like in a 0-up save. So, Eliminators with last Fusils, just keep. It's a much better choice. How could you get 10 points in this list to take last Fusils? There's definitely some things you could drop. You could drop 1 Blade Guard veteran. You could. I was going to say. I mean, I guess you could drop like the rocket pods off the Redemptor. That would give you 5. You could drop the Infernal Pistol off your captain, maybe. Or the Infernal Pistol off the Librarian, something like that. GW need to increase the squad size of these Primaris units due to the changes in secondary rules, at least be able to. Yeah, I mean, there's a bunch of units that can only take 3 guys, and it feels like there's no logical reason behind. They just decided arbitrarily. Some of them can take 3 guys, some of them can take like up to 6. I guess like Eradicators can take 6, and Scepters can take 6, and Blade Guard Veterans can take 6, but then Outriders and Eliminators can only take 3. Yeah, I think these Eliminators aren't going to do a lot of work in terms of damage. I mean, if you just want them to sit in cover and have a great save and do very little, then that's fine. Kieran says he's not a big fan of Blade Guard. I am not a fan of them either. I think they're more of a defensive unit than an offensive unit. Again, I would take 3 of them, I would sit them on an objective, and I would try and hold the objective. I think if you try and run Blade Guard across the board, they'll probably just get killed. And that's my experience with them. Every time I try and get Blade Guard across the board, they just die. Suppressors, I guess, are another one that can only take 3, yeah. Firstborn usually have a minimum of 5. I don't have any problems with the minimum size on Firstborn squads. It's just the Primaris stuff. Okay, so Blade Guard, Sanguinary Guard, Terminators ×2, and Vanguard Veteran squads. I like Terminators. I just don't know if ×2 is the right call. I would rather, I think, do ×2 in the Sanguinary Guard or ×2 on the Vanguard Veterans, or even lose 1 Terminator squad for a Death Company squad. Terminators are fairly slow. I was going to say another word that begins with F, but they are effing slow. And if you come into certain armies, they can get bogged down. Terminators can be bad news. They also don't. You also can't use Descent of the Angels on the Terminators. So if you are going to try and deep strike them, you have to like accept that there's some other negatives there as well. Okay, so what do I like in this list? I mean, the characters are all fine. 3 characters is good. The amount of points spent on characters is like 430, so it's a little high, but it's fine. Assault Intercessors and Cursors, that's all good. The Blade Guard, to me, feel like they're a difficult unit to make work. I mean, you could take the Blade Guard and the Redemptor and try and throw them centerboard and expect to take some firepower and hope they can survive up against it. You could have the Terminators dropping in, the Sanguinary Guard and the Vanguard Veterans flanking, Whirlwind sitting in your backfield, protecting your objective, doing some suppression fire, and then the Eliminators trying to snipe some characters. I really think I would either lose or change Eliminators. Either lose them and add like 2 more Sanguinary Guard, or maybe make these Blade Guard Veterans a 3-man and take 75 points, and again add 2 more Sanguinary Guard and the last Fusils to Eliminators, give them the double move. Highland Phoenix says, yeah, a Blade Guard Veteran squad and 2 Terminator squads really reduce their mobility. I also think that, I've said this so many times, that the main advantage of playing Blood Angels is our speed, right? Like, we have to use our speed on the board to capture objectives, get in board quarters, kill, make moves around, play around the opponent's strengths, right? The Eliminators would buy a Land Speeder with a multi-melt and leave 5 points left over. Yeah, I mean, that's a good point as well, Highland Phoenix. Yeah, that kind of makes me think that, yeah, I would just probably lose the Eliminators. Okay. I think, yeah, I mean, 2 Terminator squads and a Blade Guard Veteran squad, it's very survivable, but it's just too slow. It's only 10 jump pack models. And then you've got your captain with your jump pack, and you got your librarian with the jump pack and null zones. So, like, null zone obviously goes best with Sanguinary Guard because they don't have an invulnerable save. It doesn't go so well with Terminators. I mean, it's not bad with Terminators, I suppose, but the Terminators are never going to keep up with the librarian. So I think in this list we have to lose one of these squads. We have to get a 3rd jump unit. I don't know what it is. It can be any of the three Death Company, Vanguard Vet, Sanguinary Guard. I think any of the three jump units could work, but I think I would want to see one more. Unless I'm missing something. I don't think I am. I think if you run a Captain with a Hammer of Baal and you're running a Librarian with Null Zone and all this sort of good stuff, you're expecting to make charges on the flanks, or you're going to hit the opponent hard. You're going to struggle because the Terminators are slow. Yeah, Terminator's getting a reroll charge out of Deep Strike. It's not bad. 65% chance, but I guess where possible, you don't really want to be reliant on chance to win games. I feel like Blood Angels possibly still do rely a little bit on chance in the current meta to do really well, but by having two of them, you're just making that more difficult, and also I just don't know how you play Blade Guard effectively, honestly. Manual would probably drop the Blade Guard Veteran for 5 more Sanguinary Guard, and it leaves 10 points for spare. Yeah, I would probably do that as well, Manual, and then that would actually give you the 10 points to give the Eliminators the last fusils, like I said earlier. Good evening, End. How are you doing? Okay, so, I mean, if we think about a little bit of scoring on this list, this is JW's list. So we're looking at like a 7. No, we're looking at like an 8 on OBSEC. We've got 2 Phobos units and a squad of Assault Intercessors, so that's pretty solid. Anti-Horde, we have a little bit of anti-Horde firepower. I mean, technically Eliminators can get 9 shots, strength 5, so there's a little bit of Horde power. The Whirlwind has very little. The Redemptor has a little. 5 Sanguinary Guard have a little. I'd say that, like, anti-Horde firepower. Oh, and then you've got 5 Stormbolters of the Terminators, or 4 and a Flamer, I guess. So anti-Horde is possibly less, possibly a 7.5, but we'll go with 8. Anti-Monster. So how many 3 damage or more weapons do we have? We've got 1 Thunderhammer, 2 Chain Fists, 3 Chain Fists, so that's 4. Another Thunderhammer, an Infernal Pistol, that gives us 6. Couple in the Dreadnoughts, that gives us 8. And then I guess our Librarian or our Captain both have 2. So we get about 12 weapons that can do more than 3 damage. We do have a bunch of Lightning Claws in there as well, which will help, you know, because there's no way to -1 damage, and Lightning Claws are very good with the rerolls to wound. I'm going to go with a 9, I think. I don't think it's quite a 9.5 for me in terms of damaging monsters. Mobility-wise, I guess the Eliminators don't have... Oh, the Eliminators do have the double move. Alright, he has given the Sergeant the Bolt Carbine. It might be worth in this list actually giving the Bolt Carbine Sergeant Quake Bolts. Quake Bolts is always a good option. If you've got a Bolt Carbine... You've got the Bolt Carbine Sergeant here, Quake Bolts is a fine option as well, because it gives him the ability to make any other unit on the board +1 to hit. It obviously works with the Dreadnought. I mean, I guess that's one way you could... Someone said Centurions earlier. I guess that's one way you could make Centurions better as well, is by using Quake Bolts, right? On, like, an Eliminator or something to hit a target and give the Centurions +1 to hit. Because most of the time, Centurions can't get any buffs because they're not core. But Quake Bolts doesn't care about that. I'm like 90% sure. Now that I've said it, I'm worried and I'm going to have to check it. But I'm convinced that Quake Bolts doesn't say anything about core. It's just the target gets felled. It's +1 to hit. Yep. So Quake Bolts is like one way you get round the fact that like units don't have core. Is there a place to send a list? Yes, you have to go over to the community tab of the Blood Angels Commander channel. So you would click on the channel icon, probably below this video where the icon of the channel is, and then click over in the community tab, and you put them in. You put it in the latest community post. Just pop your list in there. Just be aware, Kieran, if you're not a member, you're looking at like it's going to be like 10 weeks. There's a big queue for Armor of Contempt stuff. And as the channel gets bigger, I guess the queue just gets bigger and bigger. I don't know if I'm ever going to catch up at this point. I'd have to quit my day job, which isn't an option. just review people's army lists all the time. Mobility wise, I guess like I really do think the Terminators are slow. I don't like them. I run a squad of Terminators. I just don't think I could bring myself to run two. And I guess while I'm running the squad of Terminators, I guess I almost also feel like I can't bring myself to run Centurions. This is what happened. You get to 10k subs. Yeah, up until now I've answered every comment on the YouTube channel as well, but like once you get past 10k subs, answering every comment becomes a little bit more tricky, I guess. Spent my whole evening one evening like just answering comments for like 3 hours. Okay, mobility, I think it's like a 7. 2 Terminator squads are slow, Blade Guard are slow, Assault Intercessors maybe need to be reserved. Eliminators, I guess they do have the double move. I mean, I guess we could go 7.5 because the Terminators are in Deep Strike, but honestly, I don't know if we can make 2 Terminator squads work. I just think you're going to be better off with the Sanguinary Guard at that point because they've got the same 2-up save for the most part, and Sanguinary Guard can bounce from cover to cover. Yeah, if anyone wants community feedback on the list, by all means, please. There should be a link to Discord in this video, so you can just click on the video Discord. You can join, and we have a room on Discord for army lists to be submitted or discussed, I guess. So that might be a quicker way to get some feedback if you're desperate for feedback straight away. If you're desperate for basic feedback, though, leave me you can leave a note in your comment that that's what you're looking for. I can probably do it without bringing it on the stream. So we have the way to fight last and deny Overwatch. We have a couple of denies because we've got a Chief Librarian. We do have enough units for actions, maybe slightly low on 3 damage weapons. We're starting with 10 CP, which is great. We've got some protection from mortal wounds from the Priest. We don't have 3 or more characters, so I think specialization in this list is really good. I think it's maybe like a 9, I'd say. So I guess the overall structure of the list is decent. I just think the main thing to pick out, I guess, is 2 squads of assault or 2 squads of Terminators and a squad of Blade Guard veterans is not fast enough. You can't use Descent of the Angels, but you can use Fury of the First for the +1 attacks. You're right, an orange Sea Lion, but my question is, what if you play Tau, and then when you arrive from Deep Strike to make charges, they have that strat on battle suits that's like -2 to charge. Well, you're pretty much never making a charge at that point, right? Other armies have stuff like that where they can minus your charge range. Death Guard, I believe, have it. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but I think they can do minus to your charge. And if you're relying on that charge to happen, or you know, the one thing you can do is Descent of the Angels lets you ignore the modifiers for charging. So Descent of the Angels can help negate stratagems like that. But I mean, it's not perfect. It's not a perfect solution. In my defense, I've been playing Sisters. Man, I've not played Sisters in ages. I used to like playing Sisters all the time. Maybe Andrew will be back playing Sisters because apparently he did terrible at the Birmingham GT this weekend with his Tau. So I think Tau's probably dead to him. I mean, he made a list that was designed to only kill Marines, so it was obvious he wasn't going to win a GT when you've just tailored to fight Armor of Contempt, I feel like. Okay, so I mean, this is a decent enough list. There's not too many things wrong with it. I've been to a tournament where I've ran 5 Blade Guard veterans. I've been to a tournament where I've ran these Stormbolter Chain Fists. They're both fine squads in their own rights. I don't think I ever ran Eliminators at a tournament, but my experience with Eliminators as well as the last Fusel ones are just much better. Both, I've run the Librarian, I've run the Sanguinary Priest, and I've also run Captain, but I prefer the Captain on the bike typically. I prefer making my Captain more survivable over doing more damage. I feel like it's a much better play, personally. Just keep him alive, make him soak up a bunch of fire. which I guess this captain doesn't have the ability to do really. So I guess it's each to your own, but I think having a captain, and I guess this is probably why the chaplain gets a lot of play. The chaplain on the bike. The chaplain on the bike again can just be so survivable for Angel's Sacrifice. And I guess that was that list that we looked at on Friday, where they actually had the Sanguiner in the list for Angel's Sacrifice. Bike Captain can do the same damage, just not fly and have T5. Yeah, I mean, it's for me, it's not about the damage manual. I feel like my Bike Captain can survive 2 or 3 extra turns over a regular captain like this. And yes, maybe I do less damage, but if I can survive for 3 more turns, then the amount of damage I can do will be much more. Will just be much, much more because I'm alive for a shitload more turns. I feel like, yeah, that Bike Captain can just, he could just live all day. Sometimes he dies, but I mean, he's definitely won games before because then he's thrown everything they've got at him, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." Okay, it's a decent list, JW. Hopefully they've given you some feedback, and there's a few tweaks there that you can make. Quake Bolts seems to stand out as a good option. Another option might be, if you don't go for Quake Bolts, to Mastercraft the Terminator Sergeant's Thunderhammer, give him a 4 damage Thunderhammer. I keep saying that and I never do it myself, so maybe I need to do it. Just give the Thunderhammer on the Sergeant 4 damage and see how that gets on. Cool. Alright, let's have a look at Michael's list next. And I'm really worried that I did a list from, because I don't know why I had Michael gave me a list on the 15th. Just check. You know what? Just looking in this folder, I have apparently reviewed 269 army lists now. That's pretty crazy. Michael. Okay, so Michael gave me a list way back last year, and then he gave me one in February. So this must be right. This must be his new list. Okay, so you gave me this one on the 15th. Scorpix and Flayed Worms murdered you. Necrons are an interesting army. I don't know if they're that strong at the moment. I guess someone needs to run an ultimate AI engine to work out the best list from all 269 that were submitted. Yeah, I mean, sometimes the dice go against you, but I feel like against melee Necrons, we should have the upper hand. We should be able to outmaneuver them. You do run a lot of Sangria Guard, John? Because I feel like Sangria Guard would be really good into them. But I don't know. Alright, so this is a new list post April 2022. It's a slight update on its previous submission. Hopefully it's better. Alright, so we're going to start with Voidsman at Arms. 45 points. If it was you that ran Voidsman at Arms before, I really think you want to run the 6-man squad. It's 48 points, and I really think the Candid is worthless. I'm going to add, or I'm going to have a 6-man squad of Voidsman at Arms that I can run. I don't know when I'm going to run them or how I'm going to run them, but I think it's a really interesting squad. I just don't think you want the Candid, and I think you want 6, so you can guarantee like NAC1 data goes off. I think that's the right call. But I do like Voidsman at Arms. I do think they're interesting. All right, we got Astaroth, who is the Warlord, and he's got Mantra of Strength, and he's got Canticle of Hate. He obviously has massive Doom as well because he's Astaroth. You should load all the army lists and sort by them highest score. I guess the problem was that these army lists have been done over time, right? So what scored really high 6 months ago is probably not scoring high now. We got the captain on the bike, who has been upgraded to the chapter master. He has Rights of War, Armor Indomitus, and he's got a Thunder Hammer. Okay, so this is what I was saying about more survivable character. So he's like on a 2-up save. He's ignoring AP1. He can go for a 3-up save for a single phase. He has 7 wounds. Sorry, it's a 3-up invulnerable save. He has 7 wounds, and he also grants OBSEC and he's toughness 5. What is the Voidsman at Arms? They're agent of the Imperium. They were originally released in one of the Kill Team boxes. So I don't think you can get them anymore, so I think you're going to have to proxy them if you want them now. They were... This is what they looked like. Let me see. There was this squad here. And it came in a Kill Team box. I'm pretty sure you can't get it anymore. I think this was actually them as well. They're like... These guys. These are the Voidsman at Arms. But what they are on the tabletop, I guess, is... They're basically Imperial Guards, so toughness 3, 4-up save. They're just 8 points per model. You can include one squad of them, and they take up one squad per detachment, and they take up like they're an agent of the Imperium, so you don't lose any of your keywords for including them. And the great thing about them, I guess, is you can, I believe, you can ignore all requirements when embarking on Imperium transports. So basically, go on any transport you want. I guess if you had a Rhino or something, I guess. They can also be put in Deep Strike or the Teleportation Chamber for 1 CP. And I guess at 48 points for 6 models, that's sort of the cheapest way of doing Nakmund data. And because they can teleport in, basically you can just arrive anywhere and do Nakmund data. I think it's... And I guess wherever you would arrive, you're doing engage on all fronts as well, right? So Voidsman at Arms. I think if you're gonna make a squad, I'd probably like proxy some Tempest Scions or something. That's what I'm doing. I'm buying 2 boxes of Tempest Scions, and I'm just gonna paint them Blood Angels. Shame they can't go into Landspeeder Storm though, as it has the Scouts only transport rule. What's the actual wording on the Landspeeder Storm? That's maybe this model has a transport capacity of 5 Scout Blood Angel Scout infantry models. I actually don't know. I mean, would this override it? If it's an Imperial transport... No, it doesn't have the transport keyword. Okay, so it wouldn't be able to override it because it doesn't have the transport keyword. Oh no, it does. It does have the transport keyword. So it's got Imperium transport, so would this not mean they could go inside it? The full wording means you cannot. What is the full wording? All other transport models restrictions still... Oh, because they're scouts, they can't go in? Is that what the problem is? All the other transport models restrictions still apply. That's confused me. I don't get it. All of the other transports models restrictions still apply. All of the other... You can ignore keyword requirements when embarking on Imperial transport models. I don't know. I mean, that would be pretty good for... Someone will need to... DTM isn't here. If DTM was in the chat, maybe he would tell us. It's Sunday night. I've had a really tiring weekend with the kids, and I just can't wrap my brain around it. Uh, but I feel like that would be a cool option if that was something you could do. It's the second sentence that I'm not understanding. You can ignore all the keyword requirements. So the keyword requirements are like Blood Angel Scouts, right? Blood Angel Scout Infantry. Well, we can ignore all that. And then the second sentence says, all other transports, models, restrictions still apply. Is +1 attacks from charging with a chainsword and a bolt pistol still a thing? I mean, chainswords give you +1 attacks. And charging of a Blood Angels player gives you +1 attacks. So technically you get +2 attacks if you've got chainsword and you charge Monkey Llama, but the rules are a little bit different now. I guess it's all the keywords. The only restriction is the number of models at that point. So 5. So you could put 5 Voidsman arms into a Landspeeder Scout, Landspeeder Storm. Sorry. I mean, it kind of seems valid. I mean, I guess maybe. I think what people are saying is basically like restrictions for other models going in still apply. Yeah, they don't make the wording easy. Anyway, cool idea. Glad it got brought up. Maybe we can try it. So them being a scout requirement would still apply. I don't know. As I said, it's my I can't figure out the word, and I'll have a look at it when I'm not tired from the whole weekend with the kids. Okay. Yeah, we got the captain with the Thunderhammer. I like that. We got the Selfless Healer Priest with the Teeth of Terra. I think the Teeth of Terra is a good choice on the Sanguinary Priest. It's either the Teeth of Terra or Icon of the Angel, in my opinion. I think Icon of the Angel is maybe my preference because I feel like it's more versatile, but the Teeth of Terra, I guess, lets him do some damage. GW rules and words this week are not Blood Angels Commander's friends, apparently. But I did sort out the rule with Andrew on Monday, and that I think he agreed that I would have been able to strategically reserve my guys into the corner. Okay, so Life RPGs just says it can't be done. This is the same requirement as a Terminator and a Rhino. Can't be done, Inquisitor or not. So I was going to say, so if I went to another, if I went to a Rhino, for example, because I never run dedicated transports, very rarely run dedicated transports. So Rhino. So Rhino has a capacity of 10 Blood Angels infantry. It cannot transport jump packs, Terminators, Wolfen, Centurions, Primaris. So I can ignore Blood Angels infantry, I think. Oh, yeah, that rule confuses me, actually. Yeah, it's just the second part of that rule. I don't get it. I'll have to look at it tomorrow or something. Okay, Assault Intercessors and Cursors, exact same as before. This list is going to run 2 Death Company. Oh, I remember this variant of this list. Alright, 2 Death Company, 2 Thunderhammers in each, 2 Power Fists and 2 Infernal Pistols in each. And they're 7-man squads, and the rest of the guys have Power Swords as well, I guess, because Chain Swords are a bit weaker now. I think both the Death Company squads seem fine. 236 points seems quite high, but I mean, you do have quite a bit of damage in there. Obviously, you get the jump packs as well. I mean, 236 points is the same as like a 7-man Sanguinary Guard squad. I think they come in at like 224. So you have, I guess 4 3 damage weapons in there. So I guess if you give the Sanguinary Guard 4 Infernal Pistols, they cost more than this. Sanguine Guard a little bit more survivable than Death Company, in my opinion, but Death Company obviously have that early game threat. We then have a large squad of Sanguine Guard. Is this 4, 6, 7, 9? 3 Infernal Pistols again. 2 Land Speeders with multi-meltas. The Storm Speeder Hammer Strike with the missile launchers, the Crack, and the Melta Destroyer. I'm going to just look at the Hammer Strike for 2 seconds because it's something that I don't own and we rarely see Hammer Strikes in lists. Storm Speeder Hammer Strike. I think it's 10 wounds, toughness 6. The missile launcher is strength 8, minus 3, 3 damage, which is pretty cool. I like flat static damage. A Crack Storm Grenade launcher is just an 18-inch crack grenade, and then the Melta Destroyer is basically a multi-melta, but with 3 shots, 24 inches. It's not bad. The Storm Speeder Hammer Strike for 145 points. I mean, if you compare it to like 2 regular Land Speeders, I guess they have a couple more wounds, but this has like a couple more shots. I guess the shitty part is that this gets profiled and a regular Land Speeder doesn't, I guess. Okay. And then we finish with the Whirlwind. Okay, so the idea is that the Whirlwind holds the back and home objective per usual. The Voidsmen do actions and or hold objectives. Speeders to zip around the board and score engage and maybe snipe an enemy character or heavy infantry. Sanguine Death Company to be the main assault force with the HQs in support. I get a lot of Death Guard, AM, Admech and Tyranids in my meta, so I need to be hard hitting with some survivability, and the new Armor of Content rule will really help with that. Looking forward to your thoughts and suggestions on this one. All other restrictions apply normally, and Inquisitor Artemis models can only embark aboard transports that specifically allow Terminator models to do so. An Inquisitor Terminator cannot embark on a Landspeeder Storm, but a Voidsman squad can, says Nico. So yeah, I'm still confused by that rule. I'm still confused. Okay, so you've got Astrath, a Bite Captain, and the Sanguinary Priest. You've got 2 Death Company and a big Sanguinary Guard, 7/7 and an 8 and a 9. Sorry. You've got the 3 speeders essentially. You got the Whirlwind. You got the standard sort of troop choices, and then you get the Voidsman at arms as well. Okay, so this is an interesting list, right? Like, we've got ways to hold objectives in the backfield. We've got ways to push into all the quadrants quickly. We've got 3 large jump units with a lot of firepower. Sorry, well, a lot of melee power, I guess. A little bit of firepower with Infernal Pistols. I mean, in some ways, this list, Death Guard, Admech, and Tyranids. Okay. I was going to say, in some ways, this list suffers from the same problem that my list suffered from recently, right? Where it was like, in terms of actual shooting, yes, there's a bunch of 3 damage weapons, and that like there's 7 Infernal Pistols, maybe more. No, 7 Infernal Pistols. And then 3 multi-meltas and the rockets from the Hammer Strike. So yeah, while you do have like 12 3 damage shots there, arguably a bunch of the Infernal Pistols aren't going to be in range. If you come into something that, I guess, like Drukhari and Tau are going to... Against those sort of armies, you need weight of fire, and if you just have a few Melta guns, then, you know, you have like a multi-melt on a land speeder. You've got 2, potentially, even if you make 2 hits, you probably fail one of the wound rolls, and then you just have to make 1 4-up save, and that negates. You just end up doing 0 damage. and I ran a list recently where like I had a lot of multi-multiplier, like, and infernal pistols and all that. I maybe had like in turn one into Tau, I maybe had like, I don't know, like maybe 12 or 15 multi-meltas, and I killed one shield drone, which is worth like 12 points. So I guess like if you're not, I guess this is a difficult place where we are right now, because like Redemptor Dreadnoughts used to be good at sort of like, the Redemptors have like a hard hitting thing, but they also have like some peppering fire, I guess, or like anti-horde fire. You know, the Gatling cannon and the storm bolters and the missiles give them like a little bit of like anti-horde firepower. But like, because we're not running that sort of stuff anymore, like this list just has very little anti-horde firepower, right? We've got like 10 bolter shots are coming out the Sanguinary Guard. We've got the Whirlwind that's doing very little, if not any damage now. And then we have like Summon Cursor Bolter. So yeah, I mean, I don't know if I love that. I feel like we still need a bit of firepower to be successful. I mean, some people are piloting lists without any firepower, but I feel like that's difficult to do right now. There's a lot of things that are very good at countering us. Rosa's written, Nico says that you can get them inside. Yeah, I'm feeling a bit dead on my feet this weekend as well. But yeah, so Rose has written, it's a question mark. But yeah, I mean, your Voidsman at arms can hold objectives, then cursors can forward deploy, the Salt Intercessors can do a bit of holding and or pushing, the Death Company and the Sanguinary Guard can do pushing, and then the Hammer Strike and the Speeders can do some engaging on fronts. Behind enemy lines might be a decent one on this list as well, depending on positioning and what you can get into. Into like Tau and Drukhari, this is going to be a very, very difficult list to pilot. You're almost going to have to try and surround transports, which I think is very, very difficult. You need a lot of movement, and you don't have like the Sanguinary Ancient giving you that extra movement. Which, yeah, I mean, it's just difficult. It's difficult to surround. If you think of a Drukhari Raider, it's pretty difficult to surround it with 7 models anyway. I actually don't know how many models you need to surround a Raider with, but I imagine like you'd probably need your 9-man squad. Um, I think quantity of attacks constitutes enough for horde clearing. Do you not like melee being used as a main agent for hordes? I mean, if you think of Death Guard as a good example, if they just park 20 Poxwalkers in front of, let's say, a squad of Blightlord Terminators, how are you getting to the Blightlords? Because if you charge the Poxwalkers, yeah, you'll kill them, no problem. But then you're literally just stood exposed right in front of the Blightlords. They'll shoot you and then they'll charge you and you will be dead. So if you don't have enough firepower to clear out the screen, as in like you need to kill like 10 Poxwalkers or something to make a hole so you can jump in and make the charge against the Blightlords, like you're gonna have a bad day, right? So I think, like, I've recently on my stream the other night, I was painting a Relic Contemptor with Volcons again. I don't know if I like them, but I don't like Redemptors where they are right now. I mean, maybe I could run a Redemptor with a Gatling cannon. But then the Gatling cannon is going to be shit into other Marines, right? Because it's just AP -1. So if you end up running into like anything else that's got Armor of Contempt, the Redemptor Gatling cannon is going to be shit. Armor of Contempt is like this band-aid fix that, while it's made us better in some ways, it's also, you know, like the Onslaught cannon is just crap now. The heavy cannon is crap. The regular cannon is also crap. -1. Yeah, I mean, into half the armies, you just AP 0, right? Okay. So yeah, I mean, the list is fine, but I guess you've just got to be aware if you run into something that's going to be horde based, this is going to be very difficult to deal with. Or if you run into Drukhari and everything's up in a raider. Do I have a Leviathan? Yes, I have one. I haven't run it in a while. Volkites feel bad into knights, can't confirm. Volkites are all about randomness. That's the problem with them. I've had the Volkite do 10 mortal wounds to knight before in a single turn, Eric. Likewise, I've had a Volkite do no mortal wounds to something. So Volkites probably needed like a better wording on that rule. Like they should have probably done like a mortal wound on a 5-up, but cap it at like a maximum of 3 mortal wounds. I did actually make a video on how I hate how swingy some of the stuff is. Like I hate las cannons because they're so swingy. I think swingy stuff shouldn't be in the game really. Like from a competitive standpoint, things that can swing that much. Like there's in the new Knight Codex, there's a rule that said, like, let's say you roll a bunch of 6s on your wound rolls, you could do 56 mortal wounds in a turn from one knight. A 600-point knight can do 56 mortal wounds or something like that. Like, that should just be capped. Like, just make it, like, why even have something that can just be that broken, you know? Like, can we get some love? Hit the like button. Yeah, I mean, if you're enjoying tonight's stream, I would appreciate it if you think about hitting that like button. It is always appreciated. Yeah, so the squads are fine. The characters are decent. The Voidsman armor cool. The troops are perfect. The speeders, you obviously have a plan and strategy from them. There's just some armies this is going to be difficult into. But I don't really have any negative comment. The only comment I might make is, how many CP did this list start with? It didn't say. Oh, that's annoying. It literally doesn't say how many CP. Did I delete that by accident? No, or you didn't fill in the number of CP. I mean, you're going to have to pay 1 for the extra relic, 1 for the Voidsman at Arms. I think you have 2 heroes a chapter. So you start with 8. I was going to say Quake Bolts will help you a lot with these Death Company Marines, probably. But yeah, I mean, I guess you've got Massive Doom, which gives you +1 to hit as well. So maybe you don't need it from Astrath. No, maybe you don't need it. I don't think there's. I mean, that an Incursor Sergeant could take it. I mean, it would make your Thunderhammers hit on 2s because you can get +1 from Astrath and you get +1 from Quake Bolts. So Thunderhammers and Power Fists hitting on 2s could be pretty useful. Just depends on if you think 1 CP and I mean, I guess you don't have a great carrier for Quake Bolts. Like, it's not like you've got Eliminators or a Tech Marine or someone that's got like a good BS 2-up. Yeah. Okay, you guys are going to take it to the Discord about the Landspeeder Storm. Greetings, Left Hand Texan. I got married yesterday. Glad I could catch the stream today. Congratulations, man, on getting married. That's awesome. How are you? How are you watching the stream? Shouldn't you be like getting on a plane and going on honeymoon or something? Is that the plan later in the year or something? I remember when I was booking my honeymoon. Actually, my wife said to me like, if we don't go on honeymoon like within a week of the wedding, it doesn't count as honeymoon. And then like shouted back from the other room, I was like, honey, if we wait like 6 weeks, the flights are like half the price. She was like, okay. Because half the price of the flights was like $1,500 or something. You're going later this year, nice. Where are you going? Congratulations again. We don't often get wedding announcements in the chat. Okay, cool. I like Michael's list in general. If you guys are hearing the rain and it's distracting, let me know and I'll close the window. So we've got the same obsec of 8, but we do also have Rights of War there, so that would be 9. Anti-Horde Infantry is low, and it's really low. I'm going to say 6.5. There's some melter rifle shots in there, or melter guns, and yeah. If you're in a situation where you're going to need to clear screens with shooting, you're going to have a tough time with this list. And I guess this is what happens with a take all comers list. Rain in Scotland, you jest. Yeah, there's always rain in Scotland. You're going to the mountains? Nice. I take it you're in Texas then, right? Or your name is you used to live in Texas. Do you live in Texas? Anti-monster infantry. Well, we do have a bunch of 3 damage weapons because we've got like literally like 7 infernal pistols, 4 thunder hammers, 2 multi-meltas, that melta destroyer, the missile launcher, Astroth's 4 damage axe potentially, the captain's thunder hammer. So there's Teeth of Terror isn't a 3 damage weapon, but it's like 8 attacks on a 2+, which is pretty nice. Okay, you're stationed in New Mexico. I don't know much about. I just have a friend that lives in Texas. He moved there. He works in oil, and as much as I know about New Mexico is as much as I've seen in Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. I've been watching Better Call Saul actually. We're almost. I think we've got like 1 episode. We're almost up to date. Okay, so anti-monster vehicles I think is probably a 9.5. We can do a lot of damage in this list into those tough to kill targets, and we've got lots of ways of buffing them as well with like Astroth and the Captain. Okay, mobility wise, I guess this list's really mobile. I'm going to start with a 9, and we're going to change it out at all. I mean, I'd be tempted to go 9.5. I think I'm going to go 9.5 because you've got the ability to potentially teleport those Voidsman arms in. So I think there's. I'd love it if you could make this a 6-man squad of Voidsman arms, because I just think Nachman data, like, lose a power sword off one of these guys. I'm sure a power sword costs 3 points, and lose the Candid, because the Candid is worthless in my opinion. And then specialization. So we've got the ability to make the enemy fight last. We don't have denies, but we do have like 2 bubbles of protection against mortals, which I guess kind of counteracts the fact that we've got no denies. We have an extra unit for actions in the Voidsman, which could even be buffed if you do fix that squad and make it 6-man. We've got plenty of 3 damage weapons. We've got a good number of CP. Our character's limit is fine. I mean, specialization in this is like right up there. So this is like a 9.5. So it's a high scoring list, but I believe it has a weakness in that if you come into armies that are gonna. If you come into armies where your multi-meltas and infernal pistols are not great, as in like, you know, when you're shooting Dakari Raiders, they've got a 4-up save, they've got a 5-up invuln. So basically you optimally want to hit them with -1 AP. If you're hitting them with a multi-melter, you're essentially wasting 3 points of AP. So it's a high scoring list, but it does have a weakness. I think some armies are gonna. If there's armies that you need to shoot stuff out from, then you're going to potentially have some problems, Michael. I don't have that exact. I mean, you can't make your list good against everything. So it's a case of balancing it and seeing maybe you can play around those tough to beat armies. Yeah, it's great when your wife enables your hobbies. That's what a true relationship should be, right? Where like you support the other person. So that's good to hear, Texan. Stationed in New Mexico with the Air Force, though. I saw the trailer for the new Top Gun. I want to see it so bad. I like Top Gun. What year did the original Top Gun come out? Because like it must have been like 1990 or something, right? That's a long time between the original and the sequel, I guess. A long, long time. Okay. Surely it wasn't 1985, was it? Was it that long? Really? Alright, we're on to list number 3 for tonight, and it's submitted by Sam Millibauer. 1986, really? Bloody hell. Yeah, that's a long time between is that like 38 years or something? It's 80s. It's 80s. That just surprised me. I love 80s movies. And I feel like they don't make movies like they used to. My favorite movies are probably all 80s movies, like Predator, the second Aliens movie, or the Aliens, which is the second one. Um, Terminator. Terminator 2 is good, but I do love Terminator 1. The Thing, that's another great movie. I feel like there's another movie from the 80s that I should love. I'm sure it's probably got Arnie in it as well, because I love Schwarzenegger. Uh, but 80s movies are definitely my jam. I love the good old 80s movies. Alright, we're back with a new list geared towards getting the most out of Armor of Contempt. Sicarian, Omega, and Leviathan Dreadnought have been sitting on my shelf, but with a 2+ armor save, it felt like the right time to bring them out again. Bringing all the Sangreal Guard I have built and painted, try not to be the 30 Sangreal Guard guy. My HQs are geared towards helping the vehicles, allowing 2 to get +1 to hit at range per turn. Originally, Alien is badass. Blade Runner. I have all 80s sword and sorcery movies. It's the best decade. Highlander. There you go. That's a good 80s movie. I'm sure there's going to be others. Best 80s movies in the chat if you've got any. I've actually been picking up some of the old 80s movies on 4K disc, because if you wait, 4K discs are ridiculous, right? When they come out, they're like £30. But if you wait, like The Thing, James just said The Thing. I noticed on Amazon The Thing is down to $13.99 on 4K special edition or something. Like, I'll pay $13.99 for 4K. The Running Man, says Manuel. I don't know. I think I only saw Running Man once. Not sure it was one of my favourite Arnie movies. RoboCop, that was a good one. Oh, Back to the Future. Yeah, how could you forget Back to the Future? Yeah, 80s is like the best. Escape from New York with Kurt Russell. Yeah, that one's great as well. James loves Running Man. Really? Do I need to watch it again? I remember the ice hockey scene from Running Man. Alright, 7CP, 1998 points. There's too many, says Highland Phoenix. Yeah, there is too many. The 80s was the best. I mean, yeah, more movies from the 80s with sequels 38 years apart. That's what we're looking for. Does Tom Cruise look like he's 38 years older? I bet he doesn't. I bet you he doesn't. Tom Cruise is one of these people. He's like Keanu Reeves. He doesn't look like he's ever aged, right? Okay, it's a battalion, 7CP. Relic of the Chapter. When we get to Sicarian, we're going to have to look it up. I believe the Omega is the one with the plasma cannons, like the heavy six shots. It's basically a Redemptor plasma, but you don't get the D6 shots, you just get flat 6, which is so much better, right? Indiana Jones. Do you know what else came out in the 80s? Actually, my all-time favourite movie, Empire Strikes Back. I think that was 83, right? No? Or maybe that was 80. I don't know. Empire Strikes Back, though, is one of my favourite movies. Probably my all-time favourite movie. Okay. We've got Mephiston. He's taken Quickening, Speed of the Primarch, Bloodlands, Wings of Sanguinius, and he's made him the Warlord. I don't think you want Mephiston to be your Warlord. I don't think Quickening is worth it. I don't think Speed of the Primarch is worth it. I think that Mephiston could be fine without the Warlord. Use the Warlord somewhere else and get the free buff. I feel like Speed of the Primarch rarely helped them. Occasionally, I guess. Do you have a Whirlwind? No. I still don't know if I feel Speed of the Primarch is a good Warlord trait. I think it's pretty weak. They just update Tom Cruise's model every few years. Yeah, Tom Cruise doesn't actually exist. He's just a computer-generated model. Daniel says his fight first is almost useless. Yeah, that's kind of how I feel. We have the Primarch chaplain on the bike. He's taken the Recantation of Focus, so he can give that range +1 to hit. He's also got Cantle of Hate to give the +2 to charge. Adamantium Mantle. He's the Master of Sanctity, and he's got the Armor Indomitus. I'd probably just make this guy the Warlord and pay the 1 CP to give him an extra Warlord trait. Or, I guess you could make the Tech Marine the Warlord and get the Hero of the Chapter for free. The Hero of the Chapter is the Soul Warden buff. And he's obviously Master of the Forge, so we're repairing for 3, and he's got the Quake Bolts. Lethal Weapon 1, 2, and 3 are all 80s. I think they probably are, man. I've not seen Lethal Weapon in forever. Maybe I need to make a list and get even more 80s movies down, because 80s movies are the shit, right? Alright. Assault Intercessors, Incursors, and we got a squad of Infiltrators this time around. And I haven't been playing Infiltrators much. Have you guys been fine? Die Hard? Yeah, I mean it's just good movie after good movie after good movie. Have you guys been finding Infiltrators are useful? I mean, the 12-inch deep strike denial is definitely a thing, but not that many armies are deep striking stuff. And if they are deep striking stuff, is that extra 3 inches helping? I mean, I guess it might help against Aldari, but then it's situational because they can just deep strike elsewhere and avoid your infiltrators, right? We have a Leviathan with the twin Volkites and the 2 Hunter Killer missiles and a double Storm Cannon. Interesting. I mean, double Storm Cannon gives you some potential work against infantry, I guess. It's just -1 AP, the Storm Cannon, so now, right? Yeah. I remember when it used to be -2 in like 10 shots. They've nerfed that Storm Cannon into the floor, haven't they? I think it used to be 10 -2, 2 damage. Because remember, Iron Hands used to be able to make it -3. Now it's basically going to be like -0. The Storm Cannon feels like a lot of points, considering it's -0 now into Marines. Tom Cruise doesn't look like he's aged because they've replaced his metal model with the plastic one. Ah, that's brilliant. I'm unsure if double Storm Cannon is the right call. I would probably run the Gravflux. It's free, 10 points cheaper. If you do shoot into like a group of infantry or something, you're probably going to get close to 6 shots. Because you're going to get a minimum of 3. And if they got more than 3, then you're going to get 6, right? So yeah, Andy says Gravflux for me. Yeah, I think the Gravflux is better. And it's less points. And it's more versatile. If you come into... I guess the only thing about the Gravflux is it's 24 inches. I think they made the Storm Cannon longer range, right? 36. Maybe one Grav, one's... I mean, Leviathans can generally just march up the middle of the table. They could do that before. They can do that even more now with Armor of Contempt, right? The Redemptor with the Stormbolt or the Rocket Paws, the Macro, and the Onslaught. I mean, I guess when you've already got Leviathan, the Redemptor seems much better, I think. But, I mean, if you're running a Redemptor, then I'd probably consider... I mean, Bloodlance is good for, like, a mortal wound, maybe 1, maybe 2 per turn. I'd probably consider Shield of Sanguinius here to help out the Redemptor. And yeah, I think I'd switch out some of the Leviathan weapons. You've got 3 squads of Sanguinary Guard. They are a 6, and a 7. Mix of swords and axe and infernal pistol in each squad. I mean, I like that. I guess, was Mephiston the... Maybe Mephiston was the warlord because he wanted him to fly with the Sanguinary Guard, but then that's risky, right? Because I feel like Mephiston obviously needs a psychic power to go off to keep up with the Sanguinary Guard. I'd rather just have my warlord guaranteed to be able to keep up with them. Be it a captain on a bike, be it a chaplain on a bike, or be it a jump character of sorts. So maybe that was the thought behind making Mephiston the warlord. I think it's the wrong choice. I mean, I've had times where Mephiston's jumped. Sorry, he's moved 7 inches forward and he's gone to fly and he's failed his fly. And then he's completely exposed and the enemy have just shot him off the table. I mean, that can totally happen. I mean, I actually don't know off the top of my head what the chance of a psychic power, but I can do it, right? So if you roll 2d6, the chance of getting a 6 is 72%. You could re-roll that. Let me do the math. So it would be like 100 minus 72 times 0.72 2. So it's a 92% chance, I guess. So it's 1 in 10. I mean, I guess, yeah, 1 in 10 chance. If you're going to reroll Mephiston's power and they're not going to deny it, but then, I mean, they could deny it and then Mephiston gets left behind and you lose the bonus that he's granting to the Sanguinary Guard. I think as well, the Sanguinary Guard get a lot of benefit if they can reroll their ones. And the Chaplain can obviously let them do that, whereas Mephiston, again, can't. You might actually be... Do you know what? In this list, you'd be better running Unleash Rage, actually, over Bloodlance. Like, you've got 3 big squads of Sanguinary Guard. Giving them Exploding Sixes is going to... I mean, last time I ran Unleash Rage on my 7-man squad of Sanguinary Guard or something, I got 13 extra hits. That's how many sixes I rolled when I was hitting. 13. I mean, like, my 7-man squad gets 35 attacks. So on average, I guess I should roll about 6 or 7, but I rolled 13 sixes, so it was like 13 extra hits. That's much better than like a mortal wound or 2 that Bloodlance might be able to do. If they're trying to keep Mephiston up with a CP reroll on a 6+, it should be fine. But yeah, if you're in denial range and they deny wings and that was part of your strategy, yeah, I don't like your Warlord choice, Sam. I think I would rather like make the Chaplain the Warlord, have him hang out with like 1 or 2 turns to buff the shooting, and then go forward with the Sanguinary Guard or something like that. Or on turn 1 he buffs shooting and then he goes forward. Like you've got a Tech Marine, so you can continue to buff shooting. On the Dreadnought you think you're going to get the most value out of, right? And Unleashed Rage is almost definitely going to do more damage than Bloodlance. When I tiered the powers, because I went through all the powers and gave them like tiers on like how good I thought they were, Bloodlance was one of the worst powers, I thought. Let me pull up the exact wording on Bloodlance, because I haven't run it in ages. Bloodlance. Warp charge of 6. If manifests, like one enemy that is within 18 inches and visible, draw the shortest possible line between the circular space and the selected model, then roll a d6 for each model the center of the line passes over on a 5-up. That model suffers 1 mortal wound. So realistically, let's say even if you manage to make a line that goes through 10 models, which I think is highly unlikely, you're going to make a line that goes through like 5 at best. On a 5-up, you're really talking like a couple of mortal wounds. Whereas, like, 13 exploding dice with Unleash Rage, each doing 2 damage, is potentially, I could potentially do 26 damage more out of Unleash Rage. And remember, the cool thing about Unleash Rage is it remains right through the enemy's turn as well, right? So, like, if your Sanguinary Guard are still in combat in the enemy's turn, obviously in the enemy's turn you're weaker because you don't get Savage Echoes and you don't get Shock Assault, so you're only on like 3 attacks. So bursting 6s can actually make a big difference there as well, just getting you a few extra attacks, keeping you going, I feel like. So Unleash Rage, I think, is the best power. I really do think it's the best power we have. It's one of the reasons I run Mephiston is Unleash Rage, I feel like. Smite is free, so it's hard to take the Mortal Wound powers. Yeah, I mean, you're probably going to do just as much damage with the Smite, honestly. Unleash Rage is 4 within 12, but you don't have to be visible, I think. Yeah, core within 12, but it doesn't say anything about visibility, yeah. Okay, and then the Sicarian Omega. It's got 3 heavy bolters on it, and let me just double check. I'm pretty sure the Omega is heavy 6, strength 9, minus 3 damage. Yeah, and take mortals. 2-up save, 14 wounds. Okay, and then it can have a few heavy bolters on it. It could have had some las cannons, but he's just gone for heavy bolters. Heavy bolters, I guess, got weaker as well with the -1 damage and armor of contempt sort of nonsense. Okay. I mean, I like the main cannon a lot on the Omega. If they, like I said for a while, if they made the main cannon on the Redemptor like heavy 3, I think it would be so much more viable than where it is at heavy D6. So this actually being just flat heavy 6 is brilliant. And also because it's not blast, you can end up shooting it in combat as well. So I really like the Omega. You know, it's got a really good move. It's got a lot of wounds. It's got a great save. It's got smoke screen, which is another thing that the Redemptor Dreadnoughts don't get. So the Omega is a cool choice, especially with the Tech Marine giving it the potential to hit on 2s. I like the Omega a lot. 220 points seems a little bit pricey, but it is a good amount of firepower. Reliable firepower based on the number of shots you're going to get. 3 squads of Sanguinary Guard is good. The couple of Dreadnoughts with a Tech Marine. I mean, I used that at a GT. It's pretty good. I guess it's better now that the Redemptors and Leviathans could ignore 1 point of AP, so they are strong. I think your weapon choices on the Storm Cannon arrays is incorrect. I think a Leviathan's best with the Grav. I think it's also best becoming a bit of a melee beast as well, because it can get that drill, which is ridiculously good. Troop choices look fine. The characters look fine. I really think Mephiston being the Warlord is the wrong choice, unless you're just flying him behind the Sanguinary Guard and that's his role. But then I think there's better characters that can do that for the Sanguinary Guard. And I mean, a better character would be one that let the Sanguinary Guard like reroll their ones. I guess Mephiston can be that character if you give him Unleash Rage, but like Bloodlance feels like the wrong choice. 3 squads of Sanguinary Guard need an Ancient with the Wrath of Baal and Rites of War. I mean, 3 squads of Sanguinary Guard do scream out for the Wrath of Baal. But I guess you've gone the Tech Marine direction, which I actually don't think is bad, Highland Phoenix. I mean, 2 Dreadnoughts with a Tech Marine with the improved saves that they've got, and an Omega in there as well. There's 3 great targets for that Tech Marine to do revives on, or not revives, but you know what I mean, repairs. And there's 3 great targets for him to give the +1 to hit. If you did drop like a Storm Cannon and got a drill in there, you would have like 15 more points, which would maybe let you go 3 squads of Incursors, or I was going to say maybe you could take those last cannons on the Omega. How much is the last cannons against the heavy bolters? They're only 5 more points. Yeah, I'd drop 1 Storm Cannon for a Grav Flux. Then there's 2 Las Cannons on the Omega. I know Las Cannons are swingy, but heavy bolters are pretty weak now. Las Cannons give you even more anti-armor. With the two Dreadnoughts and the Sicarian and all those bolters from the Sanctuary Guard, I don't think you need any more Horde Clear. Nico's hit the wall. It's time for bed. Thanks so much for tuning in, Nico. Appreciate you. I feel like John just described Dante as a better choice. Potentially. I mean, if you're running all those Sanguinary Guards, I mean, they're kind of synergizing with Dante. Dante's Warlord trait would be a little bit better for them as well, probably, right? You know, I personally think Dante's too expensive. Alright, Obsec holding. I'm going to say the 8, similar to the first list. Anti-infantry clear is probably the best list that we've seen tonight for anti-infantry clear. I'd possibly even go like a 9. You get 2 Dreadnoughts. As it stands, you get 16 Storm Cannon shots. What's that? 4 Volkite shots, or maybe it's 8. I forget how many. Couple Interkiller missiles, another whole Dreadnought, 9 heavy bolter shots. That coming out, and then potentially like what's that? Like 35 bolter shots coming out of the Sanguinary Guard. I mean, that's good. 3 damage weapons on the list. Then I guess you've got the 1 on the Omega. You've got the 3 Infernal Pistols here. You've got 2 on this Dread, and arguably 1 on this one. So that gives you about 4, 6, 7. Tech Marine has 1. Chaplain technically doesn't have one because you didn't give him Mantra of Strength. Mephiston has a couple. So 3 damage weapons is a little bit low. I do think like 2 Dreadnoughts, an Omega, and 3 big squads of Sangre Guard is pretty versatile. I think you can do a lot of killing with that. I'm happy to go with 9. Priest with Feel No Pain and Restores is good for 3 Sangre Guard too. Yeah, I just don't think you can. I think if you go Tech Marine, you can't really go Priest as well, I guess. So you have to decide. So he's gone the Tech Marine. So in this list, I guess the Sangre Guard are jumping from cover to cover, being a bit more defensible. Mobility, I'd say it's like an 8. One character isn't mobile. The Dreads and the Salt Intercessors aren't mobile. It's not bad at all. And then Specialization, we don't have Fight Last. We do have Denies. We do have Units for Actions. 3 damage weapons is a little bit low. CP is a little bit low. Protection against mortals is the Soul Warden from the Tech Marine, so it's really just going to be for your armor. And then finally, we just have the 3 characters, so that's fine. So I guess overall, it's maybe like an 8 for specialization. Might have been 7.5, but I think somewhere like 8 is good. I think there's a definite choice. I mean, he went Chaplain, so you can give 2 of the 3 vehicles plus 1 to hit, right? With the Recantation of Focus and the Tech Marine. So 2 of the vehicles will basically be hitting on 2s. And that's definitely a choice that you can make in a Blood Angels list. If you're going to go Dreadnoughts and Tech Marines, you can make that choice. And I did it. I literally almost took it to first place at a GT doing that, making... What did I have? Like, I had 2 Relic Contemptors and I had a Redemptor. And I made one of them plus 1 to hit, so it's hitting on 2s, rerolling 1s. I made the other one full Chapter Master rerolls, so it's hitting on 3s, rerolling everything. And then the third Dreadnought just try to hang out next to the Chapter Master as well, so he's hitting 3s, rerolling 1s. And when you do that, when you make a couple of the shooting things just 20% better, have you put any of your Deathwatch shoulder pads on your Glorious Boys yet, boss? I haven't made anyone new since I got my Deathwatch shoulder pads, Jimmy. I was actually thinking about that the other day. I need to go on eBay and see if there's any like Space Marine Heroes 2.0 Terminators. Yeah, like some people are still selling them. £14 is expensive though. I was going to say, I thought this was £4. I was like, oh, if this is £4, I might buy it. No, this is someone wanting £40 for a single Terminator. Some people are selling them blind. Someone's selling a big box of them for 150. But yeah, I need to get like a space, because on this sprue, for example, you just change out these. But yeah, £40 for this guy. It's fucking crazy, man. Why do people need to be so greedy? Well, you saw another picture. These cost $6.99. Yeah, like this guy's selling the one with the salt cannon for $6.99. I guess on the salt cannon one, both shoulders are kind of built in, which means you need to like chop off the shoulder. But you could do that. I do like the Space Marine Heroes Terminators. They are pretty cool. And someone's selling a big box. How many do you get in the big box? Does it say? It's 6. Got £140 for 6 Terminators. Oh. The Librarian from Space Hulk goes from like £40. When I bought these guys, because I bought a bunch of them, I honestly paid £70 for this guy. Fucking hell. I honestly paid like, I was getting them for like a £5 a time. Because people, I guess, were getting doubles. Who knew that they would go this crazy? Just £15 for like a standard one with the bolter. That was the one that I made a conversion of. Like one of my first ever YouTube videos on the channel was me converting this guy. Because I made him into a sergeant, I think, with a power sword. I think I put an old Terminator backpack on him as well. I want to get more heroes. I don't know when I'm getting them. At that price, I don't know. They should re-release them. Aren't they bigger? They're a little bit bigger because some of them come with custom bases, but overall they're pretty similar. Okay, so Sam's list, he's leaned into the armor support. Like I said, you can definitely make the armor support work. I think if you are going to go on that armor support you do need multiple squads of jump units though to make it work. You need to create threat on the board. So the armor becomes a threat. The armor soaks up all the damage the enemy has to throw about, and then your jump units come in and finish units off and stuff like that. And yeah, I mean, I don't dislike the Tech Marine idea. I think Unleash Rage provides a ton of value here, so I would change that out for sure. I think the Storm Cannons are the weakest thing. The Grav Flux is just better. Yeah. And yeah, I mean, I guess he's prioritized models that have a 2-up save because they get the most out of Armor of Contempt. Cool. You can probably buy a whole Space Hulk set for that money. It looks like it. Some of the old models, the prices of them are just insane, aren't they? What I wouldn't give to have some of my original stuff back and its sprues brand new. I would keep it though. I wouldn't sell it. I would enjoy making it and doing it. Okay, alright, so that's us for tonight. We're going to be back tomorrow night for a game against World Eaters. Thank you to Sam, Michael, and JW for the lists. Next week, we're going to look at... let me move these. Next week, we're going to look at a list by Chris Catherwood and Nathan Keller, and there'll be one more. Probably... Damn it, these two are done at the same time. Alright, Lagmeister. And then the week after that will be Dutster. And then at that point, I think we'll have done all the members lists. Yeah, we'll be caught up with members by then. So unless members submit a shitload of lists this week, we're going to get some non-members on the channel. Probably after I've said that, some members will submit some lists this week. But we're getting to a point where the backlog since Armor of Contempt has kind of become manageable or kind of become sane again. Yeah, it'll be Brett tomorrow night playing World Eaters, so it should be a fun game. And yeah, I mean, if we do, I'm not sure we're going to use clocks, but if we do use clocks, if someone runs out of time, we're just going to continue anyway. We're just going to use it for practice. So I think last week there was too many dodgy rules that went on last week. Apparently either I'm burning through too much time, or there was too many arguments that ate up a bunch of my time, because I don't typically run out of time at tournaments. There was one game against Dark Elder last year where I didn't have time in the final turn. I had like right at the end in the combat phase, I could only fight with like 1 or 2 models, where I had like 3 models in combat, but the game was already won, so it didn't really matter. But yeah, I think I need to get better at time still. So yeah, thanks for watching tonight, guys. Thanks for the support. I think this week we're going to have a couple of videos coming out about Knights. That's the plan. I think I've got a podcast episode that's probably going to come out about Knights, and we've got I'll probably have another video coming out about Knights. I've got some ideas, and I've already done a bunch of filming on it, so that's probably going to come on Friday. So hopefully I'll catch some of you guys tomorrow night, and if not, I'll catch you guys on Friday for the night video. I'll probably be streaming some painting later this week as well. So enjoy your week. Thanks so much for tuning in. I do really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys in a couple of days, probably, or tomorrow night. I haven't fought World Eaters in fucking ages. So, and they don't have their new rules yet. So I guess it should be interesting, nonetheless. Alright, peace. Good night. Thanks, then.